Hey everyone, welcome, I'm MisterBo, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at the Forsaken Expansion ViDoc for Destiny 2. Yesterday Bungie revealed the Forsaken Expansion, and I did a video breaking down everything that they talked about, everything that they revealed, and if you want to go and check out that video you can click the card at the top of the screen, or you can check out the link in the description below. However, in this video, I've scanned through that trailer and I've taken screenshots of things that I think you may have missed or things that I think are worth pointing out that maybe got glossed over during yesterday's reveal. So let's just hop straight into it. This is the first thing that I noticed. Now this is the brand new location of the Tangled Shore, and what's interesting about this image here is we can see that monolith structure in the background there. Now we're going to flick forward to the second location, which is the Dreaming City, and you'll notice a similar structure. Now we do know that the Dreaming City is actually the homeland of the Awoken, and we obviously know that the Awoken are in the Reef. So maybe this is just an Awoken style structure, or maybe there's something more to this building. Could it be a gateway to the Dreaming City? Maybe you have to get to the Dreaming City through this building. It transports you to the other location. Though when Bungie says that the Dreaming City is actually built as a brand new location for the raid, I feel like that's going to be a separate location on the director, and maybe it is, as I said, they're just Awoken structures. Moving on from there, we get a pretty good look of inside the Prison of Elders. Obviously we went into the Prison of Elders for the House of Wolves, but this looks to be sort of a main area of the Prison of Elders we haven't been able to see before and that we're going to explore. We then get a look at one of the barons, maybe the main baron that we're going to be taking on during this expansion. We get to see a few more barons as we go on. Here is a hunter, and he's actually wielding a trace rifle, and this is what looks to be a void trace rifle. And that's interesting because, well, we've only got a solar and an arc one at the moment. We've got the Cold Heart and the Prometheus lens. Are we going to be seeing another brand new exotic trace rifle in the form of this void one? Or maybe they're going to start introducing trace rifles as a legendary weapon as well, and we might get a legendary weapon of a void trace rifle. From there, we get a look at another brand new baron. This is going to be one of the long range barons. He's going to be shooting you with this sort of modified bow thing that he has. What is really interesting to note about this guy is that he's actually using the skin of a war beast from the Cabal as his armor, which I think is a really cool looking design. And each of the 8 barons actually has their own unique design, which I think is nice. Even though they're all fallen, they all stand out. Now this is a shot that I picked out because I'm not entirely sure whether or not that chest piece that this hunter is wearing is an exotic chest piece. It's kind of got this detail to it which suggests to me that it is indeed an exotic armor piece, but at the same time it kind of just looks like the rest of the armor in this expansion, so maybe it's just a piece from the brand new game mode Gambit. However, one brand new exotic we do know is definitely coming is the Twin Rabbit. Now the Twin Rabbit is a brand new exotic rocket launcher, and it is a Daito weapon, and I'm not entirely sure if we've ever had a Daito weapon, or if we have, we don't have that many of them. And what's really cool about this rocket launcher is the exotic perk. We have Gravity and Fire, which shoots 2 tracking rockets, 1 void and 1 solar. The trait on this weapon is then void rocket suppresses and the solar rocket causes damage over time. This could be a very powerful rocket used in the correct scenario, and we do get a glimpse of this thing in action in the trailer. This makes me very hopeful for more interesting exotic weapons and more interesting exotic armor as well. To the left of that we can actually see some new weapons, including another brand new exotic sword. We then move up and we get a glimpse at what could possibly be a brand new exotic auto rifle. Maybe it's a trace rifle. It's a little hard to tell, but there's another new exotic, and as we go up again we get more legendary weapons, and then we get a brand new exotic hand cannon, which we do get a better glimpse at later on as well. Moving on, we get a nice shot of the Dreaming City, and we see this warlock absorbing his grenade. Nothing really unusual about that until you notice this is actually on the Arc subclass, and when he absorbs it, you'll notice he gets an Arc Soul for 20 seconds. So this looks to be one of the new paths in the Arc subclass tree for the warlock. The fact that you don't need to put your rift down to get your Arc Soul anymore, you can just eat a grenade and boom, your Arc Soul is ready to go. It's going to be interesting to see what other changes they make to certain subclass paths for the new supers. Staying in the Dreaming City, we get this shot of a warlock who looks to be decked out in Dreaming City armor, as well as a Dreaming City weapon possibly. Now when I first saw this armor set I kind of got worried, because if you play as a warlock you'll recognize that helmet that Warlock is wearing. That is a helmet that is currently in Destiny 2 at the moment, but it's a rare helmet, a blue helmet that you can't really infuse up. Obviously they've taken the model and they've made it a legendary in this expansion, and I'm hoping we don't get very much of that, because we've seen that in past expansions, blues get brought up to legendary and not really any new armor introduced. Hopefully this is sort of a one-off, because it is a cool helmet and I've always wanted to wear it, but it's just never been legendary. From there we get a shot of another Warlock. This time he looks to be either in the Gambit mode area or he's in the Tangled Shore, but he's wearing some new armor which looks to be very themed around that new game mode of Gambit, as well as the weapons. I believe the logo on that weapon represents a faction of where you get these weapons, whether that is the new game mode or some other means, maybe a brand new vendor in this expansion, because we do see a lot of weapons with that sort of logo and that sort of old wood look in this trailer. Moving on, we then get a glimpse at our new supers, the brand new 9 supers we're going to be getting, not new subclasses, new supers. Each of the subclasses is getting a brand new super to that subclass, so each class, Warlock, Hunter and Titan, are getting 3 brand new supers. We get a glimpse at the brand new arc super for the Titan here, which sort of sees him either holding a arc ball or maybe it's his fist, and he's going in this sort of arching trajectory to where he then slams down on the ground, which looks pretty cool. We then have the Hunter one, which is where he's throwing these flaming knives. They say it's a sort of different version of maybe the golden gun. We then get the Solar one for the Titan, where he's wielding this massive hammer that he can swing around and slam on the ground. We have the Arc one for the Hunter, where he brings out his staff and he can deflect incoming fire. The Void one for the Warlock is this sort of blinking ability where he can jump around and then unleash a blast from himself. This one looks to be a nightmare in PvP. Imagine this guy blinking really quickly up to you and then exploding. This could be a tricky one to counter in the Crucible. We then get the Arc one for the Warlock, which sees him fire this massive beam of energy from his hands, and it seems like from Bungie's perspective that this could possibly break the game and be a little bit OP, but we'll have to wait and see on that. Moving on with the trailer here, we get a shot of our brand new patrol location, the Tangled Shore. We see our Hunter here using the bow, but I wanted to point this location out because it just reminds me of the moon from Destiny 1, the same sort of structure which kind of seemed familiar to me as the moon location, so I'm excited to explore this brand new location of the reef. We can then move over into the brand new game mode of Gambit, and we see this brand new character. We don't know who he is, but he looks to be the vendor and the guy that's sort of initiating this brand new game mode, where 4 Guardians versus another 4 Guardians in their own arenas, killing enemy AI until one of them can summon the primeval enemy and then kill him quickest. Now he has this little token that he flips up into the air, and I believe this token is either going to indicate what arena you're going to be fighting in or what enemy you're going to be fighting against. I believe there's going to be various versions of this game mode. We get to see some different arenas, one located on the reef, one located on Earth, and one located on the Dreaming City, possibly for this game mode. And we can see Guardians fighting a load of different enemies, Taken, Fallen, Cabal. So maybe you get this cutscene where he flips this token and then he shows you, and that is the encounter you're about to face. In this section of the Gambit game mode, we get this glimpse of the Dreaming City, which again makes me feel like we're going to be getting multiple arenas. The Dreaming City, we then see this shot, which to me looks like Earth, and then this space which looks to be in the Prison of Elders or just on the reef. Now we also get to see some of the UI here, so you can see at the top of the screen we have the Gambit logo, which is this sort of head of the snakes, which is actually the S in the Forsaken logo, which I think is very cool, and we can see you need to reach 75. Now what I'm not entirely sure about is the bar at the top. You have the red and the blue, which indicates your current score, so 27 versus 23, and then you have this sort of lighter grey bar which doesn't go all the way out to the end, and then the max cap at the end, which I assume is the 75, so I'm not entirely sure what that grey bar indicates. As you can see, there are 3 circles, so I'm assuming it's the best of 3 rounds. You then have your health underneath that. To the left we can see how many motes you have currently collected. Underneath that you can see invasion, and I assume that is the time that you have to invade. So this hunter that we're seeing the view of has invaded the other team, and he has 24 seconds to try and invade them, and then the skulls to the right of that are, I'm assuming, the kills that he's got on the other team, so the 4 other Guardians. Moving on from there, we get a glimpse at that building again, however this time it is that structure in the Dreaming City and not on the Tangled Shore, so I think there's going to be some crossover between some of those locations, because they do look very similar to each other, whilst they are also different areas, so maybe we'll learn more about that in the future. We then get some glimpses of inside the Dreaming City, so we can see this sort of ritual area where the Taken are. We get this very sort of space looking area, which reminds me of some of the locations we saw in the original Destiny campaign during Nessus, and even the location on the Leviathan in the Eater of Worlds. So maybe this is some kind of jumping puzzle. We get a hunter wielding that exotic hand cannon that we saw earlier on, and then we get a look at the brand new collections page. And whilst there isn't anything too special here, I thought it was worth noting the item sets on the right. So we can clearly see the one in the middle is for the Hunter, we then have one for Trials of the Nine, we then have another one for Trials of the Nine possibly, and then one for Crucible. Now I'm assuming those Trials of the Nine ones are possibly different seasons, though I'm not entirely sure what that first item set is. The first thing that comes to mind is New Monarchy, but it's got 20 on it, and then it's got this sort of logo which we see in various other places throughout this trailer as well, so I'm not entirely sure what that brand new item set might be. We then get a nice shot which I'm assuming is the intro cinematic to the brand new raid, because we can see 6 Guardians here, and the thing that sticks out to me is the brand new Warlock bond. Now, it's been no secret that Warlock bonds in Destiny 2 have, well, not been great. They've been terrible, in fact. We had all these cool holographic ones in Destiny 1. My favourite was the Siva logo, which would then turn to the Rasputin logo, and it would change colour depending on the time of day. And well, look at this one. He's got a bird on his arm in that Warlock bond. That is really cool. I can't wait to see what other kind of new Warlock bonds they're going to add for the Warlock, because if this is the one they're showing us, I'm assuming they've got plenty more that are hidden away that are going to be really cool rewards from possibly the raid, Gambit, Trials, all these new ways to gain gear, and I'm assuming there's going to be some really cool Warlock bonds. We then get a glimpse at a cutscene, and we can see this reef ship bombing this location on the Tangled Shore. Are we going to get the reef ship as an unlockable ship again like we saw in Destiny 1? I would assume so. It's probably going to be something that's locked behind Eververse though, no doubt. We then get a better look at that brand new exotic sword that again we saw earlier, and it seems to be some sort of void damage sword. We then get a glimpse of the EDZ, and again this is the Gambit game mode, and the reason you can tell that is because that Guardian at the top of the screen is highlighted red, which means he is a player invading your arena. And then sticking with that, we see this clip of a Titan putting down his bubble, the Ward of Dawn. We see an invader at the top right of the screen, and we see this Warlock which seems to be using his brand new Solar Super, where he takes this sword, he lifts it up and he slams it into the ground. It doesn't seem to do any damage, so what I'm theorizing here is this sword is going to be basically a buff to your team. You can see this sort of red line connect to the teammates he's next to. It's very faint, but you can see it's there. And I'm assuming this is either going to buff your super, buff your health, maybe buff your damage, some kind of support class for the Warlock that's going to help your team out in certain scenarios. But that is all just speculation. We don't really have any actual gameplay of what this is. I'm sure we'll learn more about this. We'll probably even learn more about this in the next couple of days when people play the Gambit game mode. They might actually be able to play as this brand new super and tell us what it's all about. We get another look at the inventory screen here with this Warlock, and we can see them hovering over one of the brand new bonds. But what's interesting is we get our first glimpse at armor perks. So this bond, while equipped, allows you to deal more damage to all targets in the Dreaming City. However, with that also comes taking more damage from all sources. So you put out more damage, but you take more damage at the same time. So it's interesting to see that armor perks are going to have buffs and debuffs. We then get a glimpse at the brand new Void ability for the Hunter, which seems to be some sort of like rogue ability where he brings out these 2 little knives and he can sort of zip around and hit people. Now so far we've been going chronologically through this trailer, taking a look at the gameplay segments. However, through this trailer we see lots of clips of developers speaking to the camera, and we also see a lot of shots of different monitors, and we do get some teases on some of those monitors. So here is one where we can see these designers working on some armor sets, and we can see the Hunter and the Titan at the top, and we can see the Warlock at the bottom here. It looks to be some sort of concept art, but to me that looks like a variation on the armor set that Ikora Rey sells. Maybe it's brand new ornaments for her armor, as that armor hasn't actually had ornaments before, but it's still pretty hard to tell. We then get another shot of a monitor, and we can see this developer working on some sort of inventories. We can see the wrong side of right, which seems to be a brand new scout rifle. To the left of him we can see an early cinematic of a Fallen, and then we flick forward a frame and the camera in that cinematic changes to Zavala and Petrovenge. Speaking to that Fallen, so That confirms Petrovenge is coming back, and maybe there's a new allegiance between us and the Fallen to stop the Barons. And then the gun on the developer's screen actually changes, and he's then looking at the Gambit submachine gun, so that confirms what we already knew, but there's going to be a weapon set for the Gambit game mode. We then get this shot of what looks to be some brand new exotic Warlock boots. Now we can't really tell what these are going to do, and we have a long list of different skills and abilities to the right there, and you'll notice that one of them actually says this: super energy on healing blade kills. And that goes back to my earlier theory of that new solo ability for the Warlock being some sort of buff for your team, as this says it could be a healing blade. Other things we can see on this list include damage resist on arc beam cast, so that is obviously the brand new arc ability for the Warlock, and a load of other abilities, so maybe that does confirm that that super is indeed a healing super, and maybe these boots that we can see on screen tie into that somehow. And that is everything that I've managed to pick out in this trailer that you may have missed. All the little details, all the things that I've picked up on. But let me know, is there anything that you've seen that I may have missed? If so, comment down below so I can check it out for myself. What do you guys think about the Forsaken expansion? Is there anything that I found in this trailer that gets you really excited? And if you guys enjoyed this video, feel free to give the like button a big old hug. You can subscribe for more gaming content and coverage, and boop that bell to be notified when my future videos go live so you never miss one. I hope you guys have an awesome day. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.